Hi, we're back again. Slight technical hitch. It's my fault. I realised what I didn't do. It's all a learning process, all these lives. So I'm just going to get Nicki straight back in now because I think you might have gathered if you just heard me or not heard me or what have you. We're going to talk about insomnia. So let me just bring her on. Nicki, hi. I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay. I love a good technical hitch.
That's so you had insomnia for a whole year. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
And how did that affect you?
Oh God, it was horrendous. I'd had a long period of stress leading up to the insomnia, and that's what stress does. Basically, any kind of stress, if it's long term, if it's too long, you just stop sleeping. I mean, why would you sleep if your system thinks there's a danger? And so that's why you don't sleep. Anyway, I didn't sleep, and it affected everything. You know, I was walking around like I was sort of punch drunk most of the time, and you can't focus. And then when you try to sleep, you're so wired that you just lie there. And it, honestly, literally every night, pretty much for a year, I just lay in my bed and waited till morning.
Crikey. And tell people you even tried sleeping in a very unusual place, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, you know, you go to drastic measures to try and get a few hours sleep. And what happens when you don't sleep and your body feels like it's on, you know, your nervous system's on fire and you're wired, is that every little sound, noise, light, anything seemed to, you know, be enough of a trigger to wake me up massively easily. And so I got to the point where I wanted to have complete darkness, no sound or anything. And I was living in a temporary accommodation at the time with a massive walk-in wardrobe, which had no windows. I put my mattress on the floor in there a few nights and did sleep a few nights, but that stopped working after a while as well, sadly.
Okay. So I know what you did in order to solve it, but can you tell me fairly briefly what your journey was?
Yeah, sure. So when I was coming out of this long period of stress and it was resolving itself, that's when Nicki found me. I wasn't really looking for anything. Well, I'd tried everything. I'd literally thrown, you know, supplements, and you know, everything I could think of at trying to sleep.
You spent a lot of money doing it?
Oh gosh, I you know, spent a lot of money, yeah, on supplements, on all sorts of you know, therapies, trying courses, all sorts of, you know, hypnotherapy. I tried everything, but the stressor behind the scenes hadn't gone away, so nothing I was doing was just sort of, you know, fanning the fire really, and I was keeping going, which I probably, you know, defied science. So I shouldn't have been keeping going, but you know, I was on the floor with my energy, of course. And so anyway, when Nicki popped into my world, and it wasn't the sleep system that I was discovering initially, it was some of the nutritionals, and I went to take a look, and I saw this thing in the corner of the presentation room, and it was the sleep system that Nicki has, and I just was energetically drawn to it, and I wanted to know about it. So I sort of said, oh yeah, don't tell me about the nutritionals, tell me about the sleep system, because I haven't slept. So what happened was I trialed it. I feel energy very easily, so I kind of, like, in my heart knew that I was onto something, and I really understood the idea behind it, which is that, you know, we are supposed to be plugged into nature's frequencies. And I guess you know, actually the part of that stress had been that I'd never been on a mobile phone before, really. But I was trying to buy a house at the time, and we'd moved, and children in 2 different towns in different schools. There was a lot of stresses that involved me needing to be contactable and making a lot of calls. So I got a mobile phone. So I was on the phone all the time in a way that I never had been before. I was stressed to the hilt anyway with all the shenanigans that was going on, and so when I came across this idea that, you know, that if your frequency is not really attached to the earth and the air and the sun, we just sort of go off kilter really, and so I was, you know, it's really stressful to us. So I kind of thought, well, that, you know, that seems really natural. I love natural approaches, so I'm going to give it a go. And so what happened was that I started sleeping.
How quickly did you start sleeping?
Well, I started feeling calmer quite quickly. I would say within about 3 months, I was sleeping pretty consistently. And it was about 6 months later that I had this sort of real aha light bulb moment that I really thought to myself, gosh, I feel energized. I feel perhaps even more energy than I had felt prior to the breakdown that I had. I just felt really kind of alive and well. And I just thought, what was different?
You were cocooned in this field of magnetic energy. Yeah.
And so it kind of like the realization came much later on that I'd had this 24-hour sort of, you know, every single night, and then during the day I had various things like, you know, I always wear magnets and insoles, and I drink the water. I do, you know, the whole wellness home I invested in, because it seemed to me that you can't do one thing really. You've got to kind of immerse yourself, and as we would have been, you know, so as more I understood it, the more it felt exactly the right thing to be doing for my health. You know, I'd done a lot of work. You know, I don't know if your viewers know, but I practice helping people with their health, and so I studied huge amounts about natural health, and I'd been doing quite well up at, you know, a lot of my allergies and all sorts of other issues that I'd had prior had gone, but this long-term stress came in that I had no means of controlling, and it went on for too long, and you know, your nervous system can't deal with that, can it?
And you hadn't found the magnets?
No, well, they hadn't found me.
Well, whichever way you want to look at it. So I think the message for viewers is there is hope out there for insomniacs, but please understand that it's not a quick fix. There is no one silver bullet that's going to fix it. It's a complex subject, and Nicki said she'd had it for a year, and it took her 3 months before you started feeling a difference. So, you know, you can't sort of expect it to happen just like that. I mean, yesterday I talked about the young lad who literally he fell asleep, slept all night, every night for 14 nights. Everybody's different, and that's, you know, there's not one rule for everybody. That's the thing. You've got to find what works for you, and there's all sorts of different things to try. But it's such an amazing story, and I think it is inspiring, and it gives hope. So if anybody wants to know more about this sleep system that Nicki was talking about, then please do direct message me. I'll put some details up below, and look forward to starting you on your journey towards sleep and better health. So Nicki, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
I
can't recommend it enough. I mean, it's the best thing I invested in, honestly, and I've got it for life.
And did you buy what they call the king size one?
I've got a double bed, so I got the double. I've got a king size duvet, but a double topper.
So I mean, I think what we're talking about, if you divide it up over 10 years, a double equates to about 39 pence a day, and a king size to 44p a day. That's less than your daily coffee. So
yeah.
It's a no-brainer, really. You know, if you can't sleep, oh my word, that is such a life changer. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye, Nicki.
Bye-bye.